I stand here this morning to read a sermon that is not mine, written by the good Reverend Taryn Strauss, oftentimes in first person, as sermons usually are. So when I say I or me, it is in Reverend Strauss's voice, though there is a really solid joke about a tattoo that also applies to me. I only read seasonally appropriate fiction. A friend of mine said to me recently, if you are drinking pumpkin spice lattes and hot apple cider, then 'tis the season when we address the simple fact that we are all haunted. As we enter the time when many pagans, Wiccans, and indigenous cultures believe the veil between living and dead narrows into a thin line, simply a boundary of atmosphere, it feels like the time to honor our ghosts. This is the month when many of us watch films or read stories about the particular ways a family, a community, or a region might be haunted. Perhaps you know the work of writer and director Mark Flanagan, who in 2018 developed an updated version of Shirley Jackson's seminal horror novel, The Haunting of Hill House. In the series, a family revisits the house of their upbringing, a house so haunted it demands a human sacrifice, eventually taking the mother of the family into its ghostly shelter. The remaining family members are each haunted as they grow up by addiction, by regret, lies, depression. Throughout the series, each ghost is faced and eventually understood. Every member of the family reconciles with their ghosts and finds themselves finally at home in their lives in one way or another. Which is to say, they are able to integrate their ghosts, to honor them as the sweet, imperfect self, and move on with their lives, fully integrated, ghosts and all. One can know this intellectually, can know that regret is a haunt that must be faced, and still suffer from a phenomenon behavioral economists call regret avoidance. Regret avoidance keeps you safe. It can be a powerful tool when making leadership decisions in the interest of protecting people from harm, like this morning, like me doing this right now. It's one reason that I am one of 70% of Americans, but probably only about 20% of Unitarian Universalists who has made it this far in life without a tattoo. The theory of regret aversion or anticipated regret proposes that when facing a decision, individuals might anticipate regret and thus incorporate in their choice their desire to eliminate or reduce this possibility. Regret is a negative emotion with a powerful social and reputational component, and is central to how humans learn from experience and to the human psychology of risk aversion. Conscious anticipation of regret creates a feedback loop that transcends regret from the emotional realm, often modeled as mere human behavior, into the realm of the rational choice. If you have parented a child, you have made choices day after day, time and time again, based on anticipated regret. And now, I can say to all of us, if you have lived through a global pandemic, you have lived with the burden, with the weight of anticipated regret. Should we see our friends or stay home tonight? Should we eat inside or outside? Decisions like that were once the weight of a feather. Now they feel like a 20-pound barbell in our hands. In some ways, as congregational leaders, we have pitched our tent and set up camp in the realm of anticipated regret. We are still concerned with not contributing to the community spread of COVID-19. We do not want to be the vector for transmission, at least not yet. This pandemic may not end completely or finally anytime soon, but we are still concerned with anticipated regret. We put in a tremendous amount of work so we don't have to regret a decision to reopen prematurely with grave results. Now, there is a danger in regret aversion. You could miss a beautiful, important opportunity. Mistakes are a part of life fully lived. The roads not taken, the hurts we've caused, the decisions we've struggled to come to terms with, those are all part of our identity, part of our life. Unitarian author Henry David Thoreau once wrote, "Make the most of your regrets. Never smother your sorrow, but tend and cherish it till it comes to have a separate and integral interest. To regret deeply is to live afresh." This is how we begin again in love, bowing deeply to our regrets, treating them not as secrets to hide or suffocate in the dark basement of our psyche, but as old friends we greet as we go along our way. We will not make it through this pandemic perfectly. We will not make it through these lives perfectly. Through deepening our relationship with regret, we learn who we want to become. We live with imperfect sweetness, and it has traveled so far to taste so good. So we might come to the close of our lives with the grace of Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Dr. Forrest Church, who said in his final sermon, "I feel I've done what I've needed to do. I look back without regrets, and I look forward without fear. I've never been more in the present." May we find grace in the sweetness of our imperfect lives. Amen, and blessed be.